This story was selected to be narrated from the MrCreepyPasta Amino app's 2018 Jeff the Killer writing competition. Urban legends are just legends. By MommaPickle. I live in a small town in America. Like any small suburb with a tight-knit community, we have our fair share of urban legends. There is one urban legend that my father has always told. It's very popular throughout the town because of him, and it's my personal favorite. It's the story of Jeff the Killer. My dad said he knew Jeff personally. A few family friends would even back this up every once in a while. Apparently, Jeff was well known throughout the community. He was a hermit of sorts, only ever seen when he went out to buy groceries, purchase cheap beer at the gas station down the street, or to work in the chemical plant a few miles out of town. My dad said that Jeff was a schizophrenic and was prone to violence, often getting arrested for attacking people seemingly at random. Because of his life of solitude taking place indoors and his job at the hazardous chemical plant, he was always described as sickly. He was pale, with sunken-in eyes and cheeks. His skin seemed to stretch over his bone with no muscle or fat separating the two. His brown hair was graying and stringy, falling to his shoulders in clumps. While working at the plant one day, a vat of acid was poured onto Jeff. My dad said it was the result of a clumsy coworker manning the machine that was picking up the vat. Others say that it wasn't an accident. The plant was extremely toxic, breaking laws and protocol. Many of the workers tried to get officials down to the plant to check it out, but they refused, leaving the men to suffer the radiation or to quit and potentially spread it more than they already had. An injury like an entire vat of acid being poured on someone might finally get the attention of officials, and that's exactly what happened. The officials came and shut the plant down. The men were finally given what they wanted, already paid for medical attention and a great sum of money. Jeff's injuries caused the poor man to undergo 2 years of surgery after surgery, and 3 years of physical therapy. After being treated in the hospital, Jeff needed a caregiver. The only 2 family members that were willing to help was his brother Louis and sister-in-law Jane. They moved into Jeff's small house, and his life of sweet solitude was shattered. Louis was an average man, having more brains than brawn. Working as a magazine editor, he had a healthy build, if not a little scrawny. He was always happy and loving, even excited to look after his brother. His wife, Jane, was a bit cynical and pessimistic, but she loved her husband with all her heart. My father described Jane as beautiful, usually earning a few playful slaps from my mother. She was tall, taller than her husband, with soft, pouty features. She absolutely despised Jeff, but she kept her mouth shut when in front of Louis. Not even a month had passed, and things already seemed to go sour. Louis was seen with bruises dotting his face and arms. He seemed a bit more jumpy and paranoid, and his visits to the outside world became less frequent. 6 months went by, and no one had seen Louis or Jane. Worried for their well-being, some neighbors knocked on their door, only to be greeted with silence. Finally, the police were brought in. They busted into the house, not a clue of what they were about to witness. My dad never went into details. He only said that by the way Jeff had mutilated the two bodies, it was obvious that he held no remorse. Jane and Louis were dead. Louis was found in the living room, lying in front of Jeff's recliner. Jane was slumped over by the back door. When the police investigated further, they found Jeff's body lying in his bed. His body more pale and skeletal than normal. He died of starvation. The police theorized that Jeff had first attacked Louis. Louis fought back and was able to land an attack on Jeff's face with a switchblade, as evident by the large cut that went from the corner of Jeff's mouth to his ear on the right side of his mug. Jane must have found her husband's dead body and ran to the closest exit to escape, explaining why she was found by the back door. My father never went into detail about why or how he knew any of this. He'd just say that he was a young adult at the time, and young adults gossip just as much as teens do. My father always seemed shaky when telling the story, a grim feature plastered on his face. I think I know why now. Urban legends are just that. They're legends. They aren't supposed to be real. They're not real at all. But if that's true, then I can't explain why an urban legend is standing next to my father in the family photo album.